changing, so you're going to get more and more acute care that'll be required probably for some of the calls.
Jack, can I ask you a question? For COVID patients, what are the hospitals doing with them now? Just
They don't really do anything
wings, obviously.
differently. What it causes for us is a lot of work because we have to decontaminate our ambulance, we have to monitor our staff, but I don't know that they're treating them any differently. A lot of them, they tell to go home and ride it out. You know, it's like the flu and stuff. There's not much you're going to do in the hospital unless you have an underlying issue that needs to be monitored. But most
Yeah, Paxlovid can sometimes help
Yeah.
in certain circumstances, but
Yep.
even there's a risk of having it relapse. You relapse after the initial course. I had COVID. I elected not to take it just, 3 months ago. I missed the meeting here. I was at home,
I remember.
and I elected not to take it at that time. But so
We get that
if
question
mild
all the
case,
time.
you don't take it. If
They're
you
not
have,
isolating them.
well, they isolate them in the ED,
Yeah.
and in the hospital, like they do for anybody that has tuberculosis or any other
To
infectious
try to
disease.
send them home.
Yeah, but you're better off trying to be at home if you can, as long as your oxygen saturation is okay, you're not in respiratory distress, you're not having all the major symptoms if you're diabetic or have emphysema, et cetera, et cetera.
And it's better for the facility. They don't have to deal with isolating you and contaminating other people, or infecting other people within the facility. So,
But it's less virulent now than it was back in the old days when I was in, where we were intubating patients left and right, and it was a nightmare. It's not quite as virulent. It's prevalent, but it's not as severe when you get it. So it's tampered down a little bit in its virulence. So hopefully it'll continue that way.
so moving through the the other thing that I had to report is, I know I've been talking about it for many quarters, our radio enhancement at the tower, that's complete. So it took a long time to get it done, but we now have a duplicated radio system at the tower. So in the event of system failure, we have all the redundancy in place. And the next level that we're doing is our dispatch. We're doing some redundancy. They dispatch out of Southold PD, physically out of the PD. We're going to be doing a duplication to run a backup system out of the Greenport Tower through the PD in the event of system failure at the PD headquarters. So trying to get it all covered. That was in part funded with the ferry companies coming on board. So it'll work out for their advantage, and we'll have direct communications with the ferry, not just a one-time communication, which sometimes in the summer gets complicated. Sometimes we can allow them to finish their trip, and sometimes we need them to stop mid-water, turn around and come back because we have a critical patient. So we'll have an open line of communications that we haven't had with that. All right. The building expansion that we've had on the burner for a while, I talked to the superintendent, Ken Lewis, today, just to make sure I had my facts straight. The project went out to bid. The town awarded the bid. I'm told that the contracts have been signed or will be signed, and the target timeframe has been moved to spring, really to accommodate what we do with our ambulances. The project is not going to allow for us to partially use the building. We're going to be out of the building. So we're trying to figure out what to do with the ambulances in the winter. And it looks like pushing it to the spring, or unless it stays mild, because we have to worry about, we have climatic restrictions with the ambulance, with the medications and stuff. They have to stay at a certain temperature or they spoil. And we don't have alternate sites to accommodate the 3 trucks. So right now, it looks like we're going to do that in the spring, but I'll let you know if that changes. Somewhere between January and May, I would expect that to get started. All right. Some of the events over the last quarter, we as an agency participated in the trunk or treat Halloween parade, and we actually had some people that handed out candy for the kids, little interaction with the children and the ambulance for a positive effect. We stood by at the turkey plunge. participated in the Southampton Village Holiday Parade, which is a huge parade. It's very successful. There's, I want to say, hundreds, if not thousands, of people on the street standing by, watching the parade and mostly fire, Chamber of Commerce, EMS. We decorated our ambulance with lights and Christmas affair, and we're in there, and we had a bunch of people go and had a good time there. We participated, the Riverhead Town EMS and the Riverhead Town held a mass casualty drill, which I'm not sure the contents. What was it, Mark? A train accident?
Yes.
So it had multiple casualties, multiple agencies, multiple transport logistics. So we participated in that with an ambulance and a crew. We also participated just yesterday in the Shelter Island Holiday Parade, where they went around to shut-ins or people in the community that can't get out as easy for some holiday spirit. And last, definitely not least, we assisted the Shelter Island Fire Department with a mutual aid to Greenport for a working house fire. And we stood by to protect the Shelter Island firemen when they were there helping. So that was our events for the quarter. The high water rescue vehicle, I see, was taken off of the town's budget. So we did also put in a grant application for that. So we'll see where that goes. And if there's a need to continue, we'll put it in the budget again next year, or try for some more grants to get that allocated to us. Several members over the next quarter. This good thing is good timing. Winter will be recertifying. So our EMTs now have an elective way to recertify. They can continually participate in medical education over the 3 years that they're certified. And as long as they meet all the specific blocks and areas, they can get recertified without having to go to class. So
And of the 35 members, how many are EMTs?
about 17, give or take, it comes and goes. And we'll have 2 new ones coming, but I also, one of the people out on medical leave is probably going to leave the agency for medical reasons. So that person is an EMT. So unfortunately, we lose him, but we'll be having him replaced with one of the other members being certified. So we kind of hold strong around 17, which is a high number, really. So the CME will be going on, and several members will be recertifying. And a good thing in that program is the state has now elected to, when they become recertified, they're going to be certified for 4 years. Probably trying to retain certification with volunteers. They realize that, this is just something that's necessary. So we'll be involved in that. We had a Christmas or holiday party. We really have, we've had them several in the past, where we've invited town board, the advisory committee, the advisory board, and some other people that assist us. And this year, we kind of changed a little bit, so don't feel slighted, but we kind of, as officers, identified the need to us to have a little us time, and the group needed to bond a little bit. And I think it was well worth having the party and restricting our guest list this year. The members got to kind of regroup and kind of refine each other a little bit. And, when you get busy and you got a lot of other things going on, things get a little sticky sometimes, and it was a good time by all. We were there for several hours. People had a great time and kind of reconnected. So we did have that, even though...
It was at the barn.
Yeah, we had it at our own place, which we've never done that either. It was really just trying to channel everybody back in a little bit. So I think it was productive, and it was fun. Next month will be our election of officers. So we established a nominating committee to interview those people and make a recommendation for the elections coming up. I'm not sure if I reported on it, but we had some stretcher issues. It's not just a stretcher anymore. There's mechanical things, there's electronics, and there's electric components to these things. We had one that wasn't working, so we had that fixed, and we had the other two checked. So we're all good. So we'll probably look at maybe getting on a annual maintenance program of having them checked out annually, because now it's just complicated. It's like I said, there's electric pieces, then there's electronics that run the electric. It's just not a stretcher.
Yeah.
So we'll have the company check it and certify it. And the last thing that I had to report on that, and I know Coco will like this, is that this next quarter coming up is our recertification time. We'll do all our annual CPR training, AED training. We do all the workplace harassment, discrimination, required classes, hazardous materials. The EMTs, even though they're not in those services, might not be in the fire service, they still have the same requirements for those annual trainings. And we usually do that, hopefully in our downtime, January, February, March. That's when we're usually the slowest and allows us the most amount of time to recert those annual things. Peter, that's all I had, unless anyone has any questions. Or as Ben
Any
Jones would say, questions or comments?
Nope. Okay, if not, any old business that we have out?
Yeah, we have one agenda item, Peter. You have to vote on the 2025 meeting dates.
Oh, I don't have them in front of me because I had to reboot my laptop here. That's why I'm on my iPhone. Does everybody have them there? If they're fine, let's make a motion to accept them.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. Any new business? Okay, if no new business, Mark, do you have anything?
The foundation had a very successful year of donations. To date, we've given a check or two checks to the town for about $125,000. We are with the town regarding the stretchers. We have a bariatric stretcher now. We're gonna refit the other two stretchers with bariatric mattresses and handrails. As Jack said, the stretchers have become complicated. There's even hydraulics involved. We had a micro switch go bad. I mean, who knew? It's a micro switch the size of your fingernail. So they came out, they did the services Jack said, and we're just gonna upgrade the other two stretchers. That's in the works. And the holiday party was very nice. It was very intimate. We don't sit with each other or see each other all the time. There could be a crew of three go on a call, and 2 weeks later so it's nice for all of us to be in the same spot, and being in our own building, it was very comfortable. So that went well. And yes.
Could it ever happen where the stretcher becomes not able to be used because of a mechanical mishap? Could that ever happen?
Yes, but there's
So you'd have to call
manual
another,
backups.
you'd have to call another rig?
No, there's manual backups on all our stretchers. So if all else fails, we can use them manually.
They're in the unit already.
They're on the stretcher, they're red. Anything that's red with striker components does something. So we can manually release the legs, we can manually pick up the legs.
Right.
We can bypass the auto load mechanism and manually push the stretcher in and pull it out. And manually lower the legs and pull it out.
Old
It's
school.
like the good old days.
Only they're 125 pounds.
I know.
So,
Yeah, every one of the automated systems has a manual backup
That's good.
to old school.
and we
Lift.
train on that.
Put it in.
We train on that almost monthly. During our monthly meetings, hey, by the way, let's go outside and see what the stair chair is going on, what's going on with the stretcher, et cetera. We do that almost monthly, so. Other than that, the volume's up to, and this is because of what I do, a lot of snowbirds don't leave. they've gotten too old. So maybe there's an increase in numbers because of that, as far as our call goes. You know, I just see that in what I do, they're not gone. So. And other than that, the regular, we don't have anything more unusual than ever. As Jack said, they're calling ambulances now for things they never did before. And we just accommodate them and take them to the hospital.
Yeah, to that piece, I don't have a number for this quarter, but last quarter, I might have said it to this meeting, we had about a 16% treat and release. So the paramedics that we have the ability, more so than the EMTs, to release you and not transport you to the hospital. Determine that what you have is not necessary to go to the hospital. So that saves us time, saves us resources, doesn't burden the ER with things that aren't necessary. So like I said, that was about 16% last quarter, which is pretty high.
Peter, you'll remember we used to call medical control for destinations and whether or not we have to go now. The medics on scene they are our medical control. As Jack said, they can determine whether they need to go or not, the patients. And if medical control is needed to be called, the medics will call. So
Oh, fair.
it's not redundant, it's just important that we're working together in the field. And the decision can be made right there instead of calling medical control and waiting to get a doctor on the phone, et cetera, et cetera.
Is that done by protocol? Is there a written protocol in terms of how to triage those patients at
Yeah,
home?
for all that.
There are the written guidelines for you?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's state protocols, there's county protocols. The paramedics operate within the Stony Brook Hospital System protocol. We got a lot of protocols, but it does work. You know, we have our resource, our people call Suffolk County Medical Control, which the county medical doctor oversees at Stony Brook Hospital. So we have access to get on the horn with the doctor at any time. The paramedics do also, but they talk to their own people just because they're a paid group of working. So they operate a little different. They have extended protocols, the paramedics, because they're trained additionally more than the state. So they have a lot more things they can do without medical protocol. So it's good. It works well.
Their standing orders are more complex than ours.
And actually what we're seeing a little bit, what I see a little bit now is we have patients that we're called to and they are opting not to go. And the paramedics see something that is more, something that we might not have picked up on, and we're actually getting doctors' orders to make those patients go, for their own welfare when they're not realizing it. And we have some of those calls, which is kind of changed. That's a different dynamic for us, telling people, no, you are going to the hospital. We have a doctor's order that will require you to go for their own good.
And in the end, we've never had an argument. In the end, they've realized they have to go and then they go. It takes a little bit more time, but people are frightened.
Okay. Well, anything else from anybody in the audience or board? If not, I'd make a motion to close the meeting at 4:53. Second?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks,
Peter,
everybody.
happy holidays.
Michelle, these meetings went about me.
Thank you to everybody as well.
As well, thank you, Jack.
Peter, thanks. Enjoy your holiday.
You too. Thanks, everybody.
Take care, Peter.
Bye-bye.
Yes, well, very concise, Jack.
Nice
Very
job, Jack.
concise.